think of it as if your brain is going through an upgradation, right?
Brain upgrade. What a wow moment. Feels good because it explains so much.
The truth is, if you have made it here, you will belong. So you don't require that mask. You can just be yourself. Students need to know that emotional pain isn't a distraction, it is real and it is valid, right?
Emotional pain is real, right? It's real and it is valid.
Asking for help needs that courage, and you have that. Just do it. Again, being an introvert is not a disadvantage, right? It's a personality trait that's still okay. Let go of comparison because everybody is unique and that is not going to define you. And number two is your worth isn't just your CGPA, it is something beyond that. Growth is typically your resilience, the friendships you make, and how much self aware. Reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness, rather, it requires a lot of courage.
Hi, welcome to Between the Lines, the podcast that gets honest about life and the emotions that come with them. I'm Nitya, and here we are going to explore real emotions, real transitions, and all the messy process of growing up. In today's episode, The College Mind, we are tackling that experience of starting college. Why does stepping into college feel like you've been dropped into a completely different planet? To help me unpack this, I am joined by Dr. Srividya, an expert psychologist who specializes in helping students navigate this life changes. Hi, Dr. Srividya.
Thanks, Nitya. I'm so glad to be here because this topic is very close to my heart. As I see a lot of young people experiencing this silently.
So let's start, Doctor, with what I read. Apparently, when someone joins college, their brain actually starts changing again, like it did during child. Is this true or is this just fiction?
No, it's totally true. And, it is super fascinating. Like you're kind of a soft clay at this stage. It is not fully matured, right? So it is going through a second major growth spurt. Just like when young, you learn to talk or walk, right? So typically, this is what is happening at this stage.
So it's like we are learning to live all over again. Is it like that?
Yes, exactly. Because now that you are in college, you have to start managing everything on your own, right? You have to make your decisions, you have to do your time management, you're going to build new relationships, right? So even to the extent of, they'll have to deal with the heartbreaks and stress and everything, right? So all that requires is the new brain wiring.
Now you've kind of made it clear why we are all, when we go into college, how intense and what an emotional challenge this time is for all of us.
Yes, exactly. Because uh, they tend to get excited, some tend to become more anxious, right? So it's that your brain is trying to stretch and adapt to the new situations now.
Right.
So it
But
is, think of it as if your brain is downloading that, adulting upgrade. It is going through an upgradation, right? Though it may be, a little bugging at first, but it is very essential.
brain upgrade, what a wow moment. It feels good because it explains so much. Basically, it's not just me or just one student, it's everybody, right?
Yes.
So everybody is going through this journey, everybody is having multiple emotions that they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Because, at some point you may be feeling confused, overwhelmed, right? Everything is a part of the process. So it's like your brain is actually doing what it is supposed to be. So it is actually growing. So it is not something different.
So let's get into this a little more, doctor, and let's look at some of the very top emotions that go through. One I wanted to talk about is this big fish in a small pond kind of feeling, right? Because students who come into college, so many of them are big achievers when in their school life. All through they've been, all those head girls, head boys, and they've done extremely well academically and all of that. And suddenly, when they enter college, they feel absolutely invisible, right? uh, how and what is this?
See, this is a transition where while you were in school, right, you were often known and praised because you would have been in the same school for so many years. So everybody knows you. It is a very small environment, right? You have a sense of who you were, right? But then at college, you're surrounded by hundreds and thousands of others who are similar to you as toppers, head girls, head boys, and other things. So that is the difference when you come to the college. And it's not that you don't carry the feeling that you've become less, right? It's only the pond has become bigger than before. So this isn't about only yourself, right? It is like you're rebuilding your own identity on a wider range. So start looking at in a different perspective.
That is there, doctor, but I think you feel a sense of loss of self. Actually, you feel a sense that I am nobody. You're not able to feel yourself anymore. It's a loss of self. Do you agree?
See, okay, I don't look at it as a loss of self. Rather,
Okay.
I would call it as a transformation because all the while you were at school, you've been externally validated. You were looking for that external validation. So now, right into college. So I'm only telling the students to move from that external validation to that internal growth, to become more self-aware. So it is something like an invitation to find out who you are, even beyond your grades or achievements. And that is what exactly the college teaches you.
I'm going to take your point about internal growth, and I want us to talk a little more about it. But before we go internal, doctor, just the external environment, right? The shift is sometimes very intense, right? You're moving cities, languages, food, culture, waking up, sleeping, everything outside is there is a shift, there is a transformation, there is a change.
Yes, absolutely. Because imagine a student from a small town in Assam, right? Joining a college in Karnataka. Everything changes suddenly, right? Right from the language, the culture, the food, right? Everything is very new. And sometimes the student might feel, where am I? I'm in a different planet, right? So there is this subtle pressure to fit in. I feel like I have to fit into the new culture. So that creates it anxiety in the students. For example, again, even to the extent of to speak English very fluently, because probably I'm coming from a very small town where I hardly get to speak that fluent English. But now that I'm in a college where I tend to, pressurize my own self to fit into that culture and also to dress up in a certain way, right? So, and also to hide out certain things where I come from, I don't want to show up. So, what happens is over a period of time, this creates that imposter syndrome, especially in the first gen students.
Okay, okay. So basically, you're saying whether I'm belonging or not, I start to perform as if I'm belonging. So I try to be like everybody else, but performing that belonging or trying to feel belong or showing it outside that I belong, I try to change myself, and that start becoming a huge task, right? Going to the canteen, all of that seems very huge thing for me.
Yeah, because that is really, I'm taking that internal pressure within me. That is a real experience what typically, most of the students, as I said, from a small town, come across. But the truth is, if you have made it here, right, you will belong. So you don't require that mask. You can just be yourself.
Another thing that's very important to each individual, each student, and likewise is their personal relationships, right? For so many students, one, of course, like we just said, coming out the environment and changing, that part is there. The second is this is the first time they're managing relationships. Some of them could be family dynamics, it could be complicated. Sometimes students have long distance relationships. So how does all of that pan out with this change from an internal perspective?
Yeah, because typically what happens is relationships can really hit very hard in college because they're very far. They're no more, staying at home. They're not in that comfort zone anymore, right? So the few struggles which I frequently come across in the students is long distance relationship where physical proximity is not there, and now everything is new routine. Probably they may not give enough time uh, you know to get connected with them. So there is a very clear emotional gap prevails. And also with the family conflict, so what happens is some students, they still carry that unresolved tension with the parents, right? Probably they had a rough uh, weather at home, and still it is going unresolved, and now they are away from home and they feel like, I don't have anybody to open up with. And most often it is also that the toxic relationship where sometimes they become victim of those manipulative surroundings, right? So that could also be more isolating in a new setting. And other apart from that, more often is that that romantic first, they're getting into college, they get attracted to somebody, so that the crushes, the heartbreaks, confusing feelings. So many students are navigating with uh, zero guidance on this aspect, actually.
Exactly, doctor. You have hit it right. But now you tell me, in all of this that they're going through, they're expected to just be okay, and focus on classes, the clubs that they have joined, activities. How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly, because it's a lot, right? A lot of things I have to do at once now. So students need to know that emotional pain isn't a distraction. It is real and it is valid, right? So processing it takes time, and that support is required. The timely support is where, when it is offered, your transition becomes easy.
I'm going to hold on to this word. Emotional pain is real, right? It's real and it is valid. Thank you so much. Coming from an expert like you, I think this is big. But I think lot of students are going through this. So if I have to ask you this bluntly, what would you say to someone who's feeling emotionally overwhelmed? Because you mentioned so many things, right? External factors, environment, relations, ships, all those dynamics. What would you say to someone who's feeling emotionally overwhelmed right now? A student.
Yeah, see, today, almost every campus has that, campus wellness supports. There are a lot of support system available. So I would only tell them, don't wait for the right time to come, okay? So talk to a peer counselor, a trusted adult, or you feel somebody is very closer to you. So you don't have to carry this everything all alone, right? There is help available. So never feel like if I go and ask for help, would people think that I'm a weak person? It's okay. Everybody go through that. Okay. Because sometimes people feel, I don't want to be portrayed as a weak person. I'm strong. I can manage. You can manage, but then don't prolong it. Just go and ask. Asking for help needs that courage, and you have that. Just do it.
I'm going to ask another angle here. Somebody was asking me, I'm an introvert, okay? And that person told me this: I am an introvert and I'm going out of my comfort zone and getting into college life. I mean, I'm asking you, what would you say to that person? What would you say to that student who's naturally an introvert?
Yeah, see, I see you, okay, because that takes a lot of courage to admit, right? Again, being an introvert is not a disadvantage, right? It's a personality trait. That's still okay. It is only to understand, where your energy comes from, and are you feeling comfortable with people around you? Because introverts, unlike extroverts, they're not socially engaged. But then when they find the right people around them, it's going to be easier for you. So what I would suggest is, set realistic social goals, because we have to be socializing with people around us. Maybe it's something, at least, you can try to speaking to at least one on everyday basis to somebody, one new person. And also, you can also show up to a club meeting, right? Being part of the club, even if you don't speak much, you can just be part of that. And also find your spaces. Library is a very wonderful place for such people. Either it could be an art gallery, even a small group chat. So where you feel emotionally safe, right?
To express yourself, right? To be authentic of your true self. Makes sense. Doctor, you just said some time ago about, you gave an example of a Northeast student coming into Karnataka. I'm just thinking, can you walk us through what could this transition have been like? I'm sure this is somebody you have met. So maybe you can just share this story to us about how they managed this transition. And uh, let's also assume, for the sake, that they would have been an introvert. So, how would you sum up their story?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I had a case where I worked with a student who moved from Northeast to Karnataka. So she faced a severe culture shock when she moved here. Food was different, uh, everything was different, and you name it. She had to go through all the challenges. So for the first few months, she felt left out. She felt invisible, and also she came to us to understand whether she can also quit the program, right? To the extent of she felt she cannot manage here. So we had to counsel her, and build her resilience. Over a period of time, we nudged her to join a choir club at the institute. And over a period of time, she was able to find out somebody from her own region in the other department. So she befriended, and slowly she started to open up actually. Can you imagine? She's this cultural secretary of the college now, and she mentors new students, right? So what I'm trying to convey is, sometimes you may perceive like this is what my personality, and this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Not necessarily, because it is very dynamic, right? I think once you get the right kind of people around you and somebody to help you go through your emotions, I think you will see your own transformation.
So that's powerful. So you're saying first that the first few months doesn't define your entire college life, right? It can change over a period of time. Your own self personality also can transform as time. That is also dynamic. That is what you're trying to tell me, right? That's very, very powerful, doctor. Uh, I mean, one more probably before we close that I would want to ask you. If you have to sum and very crystal clearly tell me uh, important things you wish every college student knows, what would it be?
So number one is let go of comparison, because everybody is unique and that is not going to define you. And number two is your worth isn't just your CGPA, it is something beyond that. Growth is typically your resilience, the friendships you make, and how much self-aware. And number three is join one club, because there are a lot of things that you wanted to do, but probably you did not have the time. And now that you have the opportunity, kindly join that, because that creates your identity and that feeling of belongingness. And then reach out early. Reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness, rather it requires a lot of courage. And accept the discomfort. The first few months could be difficult, but it's a learning for you. You're becoming who you want to be, right?
Thanks so much for this, doctor. It hit just right. I'm taking all the points that you said and I'm just trying to articulate. It's a little strong, but I think that if every student practices what you just said and goes with that faith that what you said, if they implement, this journey is going to be excellent for them. I think it will be great. Anything else that you would want to add here, doctor?
Yeah, so here I would want to tell every student, feel like I have to take everything all at once. You don't have to take that stress. Just take a moment, pause yourself, and the rest will continue. So you don't have to feel pressurized at all. It is okay to go slow.
Yeah, true. Thank you. Thank you so much for these words. I'm sure every student who hears or sees this podcast will understand this, will be able to easily implement this and take this as they start their college life. Like you said, they'll find their rhythm, and of course, we are there for them. You are there for them to reach out. Thank you so much again for being there and just giving us all these points that we can think and help ourselves with.
Yeah. My pleasure, Nitya. Thank you.
Thanks. And Doctor, one more last thing before I move. I'm just leaving it with you. We spoke so much about that student and that part of how he or she or they have to be. But what about the environment? How can anybody else who's willing to support, willing to be there, what should they do? For example, what should educational institutions do? What should parents do? What do all these people do so that this big transition in a student's life is smooth? I
Yes.
want to talk to you about that, but we will do it in our next section.
Yeah, because everybody plays a vital role in the student's life. So probably in the upcoming sessions, we will be talking in detail about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Srividya.